Hello everybody, I am Hoarder Gamer, and this is Hoarder's Comic Flex. I hope you had a good week. We've got comic book reviews. We've got a lot to talk about with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. We're going to have some toys to look at. We're going to toy around. And then we're going to look at the very near future of comic books, all the way to 1 week from today. You were waiting for me to say it that special way, and I'll do that later. But I like to keep them wanting more. It's an old Hollywood adage, I believe. Okay, first up we have first review, Transformers #4, and it is awesome. Remember a week or two ago, might have been even 3, I don't even remember. I reviewed Duke #1, which was kind of like the inroad to having G.I. Joe and Cobra under Image Comics. Image recently, I believe, got the license, and they're doing the World of Energon, I think is the name of the entire overarching series. But here's Transformers #4, and Spike is badly hurt. Optimus Prime has to get him to a hospital. Starscream in this version is like a brilliant tactician, like a general, and he's in charge. Like, Megatron is not in this issue until the very end. And he's just monstrous. He's like, don't worry, I'll leave you here, but as soon as I stop Optimus, I'll be back to help you. And then it's like he's cannibalizing wounded Decepticons. I don't know what he's making from them, but he's like ripping parts off and stuff. So really, really screwed up. Another screwed up thing is Starscream does chase Optimus. They head to the hospital to bring Spike in so he can be taken care of. So Starscream is like, oh, this is where the fragile creatures, or fragile fleshlings, or whatever he calls them, go when they need to be repaired. So he attacks the hospital, destroying the generator, and everyone in the hospital that's in intensive care, things like that, they're in a really bad place, right? And Spike is guaranteed to die here because there's no power. Optimus Prime opens up his chest, pulls out the Matrix of Leadership, and opens it, draining its energy and refueling the generator, all the energy in the hospital, so all these lives can be saved. And even fellow Autobots are questioning his decision. And he talks about how he just couldn't let innocent people die. It's this amazing scene. And in this battle involving Starscream and Skywarp and everything, like the aftermath of that this book starts with, Optimus loses one of his arms. Okay. And then I believe it's Sam Witwicky. It says, well, we have this, you could try this, and at the end of the book, you see Optimus with Megatron's arm and Megatron's cannon on his left arm. So he has Megatron's arm and Megatron's cannon. And then you have Starscream talking about how he's going to take over and everything. Cut to the frozen body of Megatron missing one of his arms. It was really cool. If you're a fan of Transformers, I highly recommend it. Image is doing a great job. Even this issue 4, I was able to understand things. I didn't feel like none of it made sense or anything like that. The artwork is great. It's got this really awesome, slightly gritty look to it, like Eastman and Laird Turtles comics did. It looks really nice. The transformations are great. Facial features on the Autobots and Decepticons. It just has this fantastic look to it. I'm quite impressed. If they can keep this up with a book I'll talk about later, Cobra Commander #1, Joshua Williamson doing Cobra Commander, a mini-series starting next week. If they can keep that up with the other series in the Energon series, give me one split second. I want to see if they mention the name of the series here exactly. They were really nice. There we go. Welcome to the Energon universe. Welcome to the Energon universe, it says. So that's the name of the G.I. Joe Transformers universe that they're building, you know. Like I mentioned, I reviewed Duke #1, and that was really good. And it builds off of the first issue of Transformers from Image, apparently, in a rather clever way. But yeah, this is #4, and I definitely recommend it. Especially, again, if you're a big Transformers fan. And also Daniel Warren Johnson, an excellent writer. And as I mentioned, the art is beautiful, and the art is done by a Mike Spicer. Mike Spicer did the artwork in here. Okay, everybody, that is our first review. But that's just sort of, you know, the tip of the iceberg, the beginning of the show. Now, we've got video game news and conversation, and a lot of it is going to be about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Now, what I wanted to do, and I think I've done decently, is highlight a number of the creators that went to Burbank, California to check out Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League in early December. So, I'm going to be talking about the impressions, or have a little bit of a recap of some of the impressions that Jay Shockblast, Lejeune, and Caboose had. They were able to go and check out the game, 4 to 5 hours of it, and they all had impressions. So there's actually going to be links to their YouTubes, in case you don't know those, in the actual, like, what do you call that, the information box or whatever of this video. So we'll have those links there for you. Excellent content creators, and I'll be talking about in detail their different impressions on the game. Okay. So first up with Jay Shockblast. Okay. Enjoyed it. Would have preferred a Justice League. Feels that if you get over the fact it is not a Batman game, you'll be quite happy with it. Batman is a real cool part of the game for different reasons. Things he can't probably say is my guess. It's everything Avengers wanted to be, Marvel's Avengers, but couldn't. Expecting a cool and aggressive post-launch plan. Talked about, I believe, in detail how difficult it was to keep up with content and to have the game going when they had all the technical issues to deal with Marvel's Avengers. Okay. And now I'm actually going to quote something from Twin Peaks real quick. He's filled with secrets. Okay. There are clearly a lot of things Jay cannot divulge yet. So I thought that'd be the most funny way to broach that. So there's a lot of like exciting, interesting things he can't quite say yet. And I'm guessing it's the same with Lejeune and Caboose. Okay. But I jokingly say it'd probably easier to break Jay than it would be Caboose or Lejeune. So... Okay, Jay played as Deadshot. That's his favorite character and his main. That's who he plans on maining in the game when it actually launches. He definitely said there's a learning curve involving traversal. It sounds like across the board, a learning curve with traversal more so than combat. So that's pretty interesting. I don't have an issue with that. I mean, just from seeing the previews and everything, you can see that it doesn't look that easy to pull off what they're doing. The entire preview, again, was 4 to 5 hours. It is a looter shooter, and you can favor shooting or melee or a combination of both. Like, you could really focus on melee and very rarely use your guns. Here and there, you'll have to. There are certain times you'll have to do, like, ranged attacks and stuff like that. But you can really do a lot of, like, up close and personal, like, with melee, especially if you're, like, with King Shark, you know? So that's really kind of built around that and built around having like a ton of health / armor. Okay. Keep in mind the title, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. So some Justice League members may die or be killed. Just so you know, that's possible. The presentation was curated, so there were a number of saves that were at different points in the game, and everyone was like playing those. Weapons apparently have no specific level outside of rarity, and they can be upgraded. The idea is that you're not just constantly taking guns and trashing them, that if you really like them, you can upgrade them. And it's not like a level 4 submachine gun, a level 4 sniper rifle. It's just that sniper rifle and whatever rarity it is. Now, I believe I have the correct rarities here. If I'm wrong, I apologize. I might have an extra. Just regular weapons I put as common, and I don't know if they actually call them that. It just might be weapons. But I believe it's common, uncommon, epic, legendary, and then notorious. And notorious are based on supervillains in the DC universe. And as you know, if you pre-order the the deluxe edition of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, you happen to get a Black Mask Notorious weapon. I think there's 3 of them actually that you get. I don't think it's just one. So that's really cool. I know for a fact, because I've actually seen screenshots and everything that were taken from the, I believe it was the First Insider and the February or March video from last year, all official. I know for sure there's epic, legendary, and notorious. I can't guarantee it's common and uncommon. I apologize for that. I had trouble finding anything that said common and uncommon, but I can sincerely doubt it starts at epic. It's got to start at something beyond epic. Okay, Jay said it's a thinker's game. It rewards tinkering and buildcraft. So that's really cool. A lot of people that got it heavily into like Marvel's Avengers, get heavily into things like Destiny, I think will really enjoy this game. And then this I thought was really cool. You may not think this is that exciting. I think it's really nice. With Deadshot, you can choose mask on or off. I thought that was really neat. Because like there are times where I want him to have the cool mask and sometimes where I want to actually see Floyd Lawton. So I think that's really cool. Just kind of depending how I feel when I'm playing. Similar to when I changed outfits like in Gotham Knights, you know? Okay, and Jay is looking forward to pouring hours into the game. So he thinks there's going to be like a lot to do. It's going to be a lot of fun to play and just to like go crazy in, you know? Okay, next up we have Caboose. Caboose used Captain Boomerang and had a little time with King Shark. He says the gameplay will surprise a lot of people. He brought up Urban Chaos. I don't know if he said Riot Response, but that's the one they did. There was a regular Urban Chaos game, like the first one, and then they apparently, Rocksteady did the sequel Riot Response. So going back to the history that, you know, Rocksteady basically started out with a shooter. Also wishes it would have been a Justice League game, but likes what he's seen of what this game is. Judging it on what it is and not that, you know, it's not a Justice League or not a Batman game. That's more than some very big gaming websites are able to do. So it's pretty impressive, gotta say. Okay, you can turn off many of the UI features, and a lot of people were freaking out over UI features. So I will definitely say that. Caboose wasn't quite freaking out, but mentioned a sensory overload. Like there's just too much on the screen at once, like too many attacks, too many effects. One thing I noticed in particular I needed to touch on, this is for me, this isn't any of the people saying it. In most of the videos I saw this insane jackpot effect, which was like showing 777, showing like, you know, the rolling of like jackpots and slot machine type of thing, and like coins and stuff. That was a bit much. Like I guess once you get used to that, it's neat, but wow, if you're incorporating that while still having the enemy health bars and everything else, that's a bit much. That very much I found was a little distracting to see. But that's like a specific effect, I think, to a weapon or something. I'm not exactly sure how that works. Um, let's see here. Ooh, 2-button takedowns like Arkham Batman games. In the Arkham Batman games, after you went through the skill tree, you were able to unlock certain abilities where you'd hit 2 buttons and they'd be like a powerful takedown or a powerful attack type of thing. And this has those, so that's really cool. Traversal is fantastic. Okay. Let's see here. The empty world is due to the storyline and also to make the game technically sound. So like there's no issues with the frame rate. It's a really solid like gameplay presentation as you're playing. Basically, they have 4 people playing and have these excellent visuals and everything and effects going on everywhere, insane enemies everywhere. They had to make sure probably that there wasn't too many things going on in the city. So let's see. A lot of funny moments in the game. Just about everybody in their impressions talked about how funny the script is. And I'll even mention up like Comic Storian and Dame Falcon. They both also seem to think it was a rather funny script. Well done moments and things like that. Caboose also hopes we don't actually kill the Justice League. So maybe like that there's like a Deus Ex Machina and something happens and like time reversal or something crazy. Timey-wimey is what they say for like Doctor Who fans. Caboose is hoping something like that happens because he doesn't love the idea of killing the Justice League. Who wrote it? Who wrote what? How you doing, Mike? Good to see you, Mike. And finally, we have Lejeune. Lejeune actually had my favorite video, just under 21 minutes, a ton of detail, and we're going to go into what those details are, including like some very specific awesome ones. Lejeune played as King Shark. He plans that that's going to be his main character. Build was a month old. It ran smoothly. Said a lot of the jokes hit the mark. Funny writing. Gameplay was smooth and very good traversal. A great focus on gear and perks and how they form a build. Okay, so what's really neat about Lejeune's video is he focused on like build craft and gear and perks and how when you're combining them, how you can do amazing things. Like he talked about the bang grenade, and I say it like that because it's BAAANG, and you only have one of those, but it's like 500% more powerful than a regular grenade. And if you have a perk on your weapon, you could have it where you're actually spawning that grenade every 30 seconds underneath an enemy. So that's pretty wild. I thought that was pretty wild, and he went into those neat details like that, which was really cool. And now, to me, the most exciting and biggest shocker that was mentioned by just about anybody that previewed Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, with the previews that came out this week, you can pull in your offline friend as part of your Suicide Squad and get them weapon and gear rewards. So basically, if I'm playing an Xbox Live Mike, or Michael Ortega, who's in chat right now, if he was not able to play, I could bring in his, let's say, version of Captain Boomerang, and then as we're fighting enemies and everything, we're going to be getting loot for Mike, as well as me. So like guns, gear, stuff like that. I don't know about cosmetics. I don't know how that would work. I also don't know if it will update like anything like the battle pass. I have no idea. I have no idea how that would work. But I just thought it was very exciting to hear this, and I look forward to getting more information about it. On Friday, I believe it's a live thing that they're doing on their Discord for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Rocksteady is going to be like answering questions. So that's really cool. So they could have like a Q&A, and I think right now you can go to their official Discord and actually ask questions. and then they'll like be answering them live. I don't know exactly all the details, but it sounds really neat. There hasn't been that much info about it. Just like, you know, happening this time, ask your questions on our Discord, you know, type of thing like that. And let's see. Lejeune just had like one negative. He thought that the boss fight was hectic. It seems very challenging, and teammates actually died in that boss battle. So the boss battle that they all did was the Flash. And it does look intense. It does not look easy. Flash like basically is making super fast like clones of himself. Tornadoes are coming at you. There's something you have to power up in order to be able to hurt the Flash. So you have to do that. So there's a number of like mechanics and things. And as Lejeune said, once you like get good at it and understand what you're doing, it should be quite a bit easier. But like for their first attempt at trying to take down a Justice League member, it was intense. Although you would also kind of hope that fighting the Justice League is intense. You wouldn't want that to be an easy thing. So now, after giving some information about Lejeune, Jay Shockblast, and Caboose's impressions of what they played, we also have to mention the elephant in the room, IGN. Now, I'm not an anti-IGN person. There's some people that have this, what I feel, very unfair, like, thing that they repeat, like, you can't spell the word ignorant without IGN. And I've never really agreed with that, okay? Now, I will say, I like Destin Laguerre, but it definitely seemed like he was overtly negative from the get-go in his impression. Like, honestly. And then, like, having questions with certain, like, plot points involving Ivy that affected his opinion so much that it felt like it weighed down the rest of the entire impression. So I thought that was a bit much. I didn't think it was like a terrible preview that he did, but again, the negativity that it just started with and continued with, it was like a cloud over that impression. And some people were like, a lot of the big outlets had issues with the game or didn't like it. IGN was by far, I felt, the most negative impression. GameSpot liked a number of elements of the game. There are some things they didn't love, but that happens with a lot of games. There are many games I can name right now that it's not just going to be, we loved every single thing, every single aspect. You know? That's just how it is. What's true in your opinion, Mike? Oh, and then the other game news, very more minor, because like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is going to be a very big thing for this show, as well as something I'm very much looking forward to. Wayfinder added the jobs board. So that's like dailies and weeklies you can do to get some very cool rewards and items, and they have a lot of fun things and little side missions and stuff you're doing. Plus, they updated their roadmap, and they're going to have a much bigger area of the Frost March, like a huge version of that. I believe it's called the Frost March. I might be thinking of The Witcher. Sorry. Anyway, but it's going to be a much larger version of what's there already. Twice as big as the Highlands. And the Highlands were large. So, and you're also going to get mounts to move around the areas. So that's going to be neat. I'm looking forward to that. And that, Grendel, some new world bosses, that's all going to happen before like early April, it sounds like. Because it sounds like the raid is going to be at some point in April. So, like this first quarter, there's a lot coming to Wayfinder. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not trying to beat up on them. I'm not trying to beat up on them or beat up on Destin. It's just I felt a great amount of negativity with that preview, and it you know, like I said, it weighed on the entirety of the preview like a cloud overhead. I also saw Paul Tassi did a video today I agree with just about everything Paul said. And even he, jokingly, because Destin and he are friends, took Destin to task with what he said about the Flash being too fast. And that was funny, because you could tell they're friends with the back and forth on Twitter. But yeah, I do agree, though, with what a lot of people are saying. WB Games should allow everyone that played the alpha to break NDA. And I believe it would be WB Games, not necessarily Rocksteady, that would do that. I believe it's the parent company. I think that would be very helpful. And I have the feeling that a lot of people liked their time with the game, you know? And it would not be a bad idea. Especially with all the negative clickbait YouTubes. Like, there are some people that want this game to fail. They're like rubbing their hands together, all excited, like, oh, I look forward to this failing. That's a huge vibe I get from some YouTubers on this. And it's just sad. It's just sad. Okay, everybody. We are done with our big amount of video gaming news. Next up, we have toys. We're going to toy around a bit. And first up, we have a rather popular gentleman who just doesn't get enough representation as a toy. Batman! We've got Batman, everybody. I'm not exactly sure if it's Justice League or it's Batman versus Superman, but it is the Snyder Batman. And I think it looks really good. I think it's a very good take on it. That might be a cloth goods cape. Like, if you look at it in detail, it looks like it is. So that's really cool if that's the case. My one gripe, and it's not like a deal breaker for me, the texturing on the outfit. Ever since like 2021, 2022 or so, McFarlane's been kind of experimenting with these textures, or this texture that's on a number of outfits of their figures. And I rarely think it works. And here, I find it like visually distracting, if that makes any sense. Again, it's not bad. And especially if that's a cloth goods cape, that's awesome. Now, this figure will go on sale. It's going to be on January 19th. So we actually have a date for that. And it's supposedly going to be at a number of different retailers. It sounds more like it's going to be like possibly Amazon, like Big Bad Game Store, or Big Bad Toy Store, Big Bad Game Store, and Entertainment Earth and places like that. So that's what it sounds like right now, but we don't have exact details. But we do know it's January 19th that pre-order is going to go live. If I were to guess, $19.99 to $24.99. It's not one of the collector gold ones where you can only get it from McFarlane Toys. So, and if you're wondering what that means, the collectors that you can only get at McFarlane Toys, take a look at Psycho Pirate. A big part of Crisis on Infinite Earths. Also a huge part of the first story arc in Tom King's run of Batman. The story arc that involved Gotham and Gotham Girl. Psycho Pirate's a big part of that as well. So there we have Psycho Pirate. I think it's a pretty nice looking figure. Comes with a card. I'm sure there's like other pictures out there online with more detail, but that's an exclusive to McFarlane Toys. There's an Earth 2 Superman, the Spectre, and I'm trying to think what the other character is. They build a Monitor. So if you have all the figures, all four of the figures, you're able to build Monitor. So, but I really do like that Psycho Pirate, and I wanted to show that. That might be one of the best Psycho Pirate figures that has been actually made so far. Okay, and next up, and I think finally, because there really weren't that many new and exciting toys this week, And that's how it's been in a lot of January, to be honest with you. Wolverine and a crazy-ass version of Psylocke. A 2-pack. And this pre-order goes live tomorrow on the 11th. It might be exclusive to Hasbro Pulse. I don't know. But it will be available there. It's going to be... There's no suggested price that I've seen yet. I'm just guessing on this. Probably $60. You figure 25 to 30 for a Marvel Legends. Plus both of them have secondary profiles. Extra heads. And a number of accessories. So I would not think that 60 would be out of the question for what this price would be. I believe it was 50 or 60 for the other, like Wolverine and Lalandra, I believe it was, that came out a couple weeks ago. And everybody, that is it. Those are all the toys we have. We are done toying around for the week. Now, it is time for us to look into the future of comic books. The future of comics, all the way to 1 week from today. Okay. Now, first up, we have... I'm just going to go crazy. I'm going to have one of the big ones right away. I usually like to build up to it, but I'm like, let's throw caution to the wind and let's just go nuts. Avengers Twilight. Okay. Steve Rogers is still around, but Captain America's gone. And what happens in a world where no one wants to assemble into the Avengers? Avengers Twilight #1. I think it sounds really cool. Very good chance I'll review it. Yeah, there's not too much more info about it, but I thought it sounded really neat. It almost sounds like Steve is in like some quasi version of reality or something like that. It's hard to explain it. But yeah, Avengers Twilight #1 comes out next week. Next up, we have Cobra. That's my attempt at Cobra Commander, I guess. Okay, Cobra Commander #1. So yes, we reviewed Transformers #4 today, but the beginning of the Cobra Commander miniseries is next week. And it's written by Joshua Williamson, an excellent writer. So this should be really good. A lot of fun. And if you're into Cobra, if you're into G.I. Joe, you're kind of forced to get this to see what they do about the origin of Cobra Commander. Because, like, in the old comics, he was, like, a used car dealer at one point. Like, there's all sorts of different takes on who the man behind the helmet and or hood is. So, Cobra Commander #1. Next up, we have Kill Your Darlings, and I believe this is #5. I believe it's #5. And Kill Your Darlings, I actually have like a little screenshot I took because it sounds awesome. The book is reviewed insanely well, and it's already at issue 5. So I wanted to give it a little bit of a shout out today. So this is the synopsis of the entire book, okay? 8-year-old Rose loves nothing more than to play pretend in a magical land of her own creation. To her, that world is as real as our own, with her fluffy friends to the terrible evil that lurks at the center of it all. In one night, the line between fantasy and reality will disappear, an ancient hunger will feed again, and Rose will be pulled into a gruesome saga that began centuries before her birth. I think it sounds awesome, and there were a number of books with kill in the title, so this, I think, got kind of covered up by some of them. Like, there was Philadelphia, Killicella, Killicella is like a crazy take on something like Coachella with like a serial killer, I believe. And yeah, kill your darlings. So this is the beginning of a new story arc, and we're apparently going to find out something about the terrible, terrible evil and the connection it has to Rose. I'm going to guess it's not something we would guess like a Harry Potter Voldemort thing. The ratings for this book are crazy. Like, it's got like 9s, 8s are the worst I've seen for any of those first 4 issues. And the writers apparently was debuting, I think, with Image Comics, Ethan S. Parker. It says, yeah, debut writer. So, yeah, this is even more exciting of a book. Kill your darlings. Also, that's actually a real popular screenwriting adage. Not just in TV, but also like in, novels too. I guess writing as a whole, to be honest with you. The idea that you don't want to have anything be too precious. You have to be willing sometimes to kill your darlings, is what they say. Okay. And, let's see. After that, we have some awesome horror. Hellblazer. Okay? And the team that did a Hellblazer book that was in, like, I believe 2020 is back with Hellblazer Dead in America. John Constantine is decaying, and he's trying to save his family. And Dream, Morpheus, the Sandman, needs help fighting a terrible evil that has somehow access to the sand that was in his pouch. I think it sounds awesome. There's a good chance I will review this because I like horror, I like John Constantine, and I very much like Sandman. So, Hellblazer Dead in America, and that's #1 next week. And everybody, that is all of the comic books we have for next week. We're not quite done with the show yet, though. We have one more review, and that review is a book that might even be hard to get your hands on. Like, this is a very popular book. People absolutely love it. Ultimate Spider-Man #1. I actually got a variant cover, which I thought was really cool looking. So, yeah, this is great. This is great. And I'm not even comparing it and being like, oh, it fixes 20 years of Spider-Man. Some people are just going nuts and being like, this is the second coming of Christ. No, it's very, very good Spider-Man and very good writing. Jonathan Hickman is one of the best comic book writers. And what he is doing with Spider-Man here is awesome. Peter's married and has kids. Okay. Now I'm going to start, like, blowing your mind with craziness. Okay. Ben Parker is very much alive. He works at the Daily Bugle. And he's, like, really, really good friends with J. Jonah Jameson, if not more than friends. It's difficult to say. There's nothing incredibly overt, but like when you're reading, like when you see movies, TV, and everything, the way you would write a gay couple is very much what it looks like between Ben Parker and J. Jonah Jameson. And what's really interesting is that Ben is talking to Peter about, like, when May left, you know, when she passed away, he thought he would never find anyone again. And then Jonah shows up, and they're sitting at a table there together. So it's not completely spelled out, but it's very possible. And it's a very interesting relationship I would have never expected in a million years. But that's how Jonathan Hickman's mind works. He's a very creative, interesting person. Like, I love House of X, Powers of X. He is like the grandfather, I guess, or like the guiding hand behind the whole Krakoa story arc. Really, really great stuff. Who's this Spider-Man fellow? Well, his name is Peter Parker. Another crazy-ass part of this is just Peter Parker. He's an adult, married with kids. he isn't Spider-Man yet. This ties into Ultimate Invasion, where a very scary and weird and frightening villain known as the Maker, who is also a big part of Donny Cates' run of Venom, he basically went and made it so there were no heroes. And now Tony Stark, at some point, I believe it's 6 months in the future, I think he said, is connecting to these people, giving them items, like, I think technologically, in order to give them the powers they were always supposed to have. And Peter is wrestling with the dilemma if he should actually listen to this voice, this this Tony Stark and this package that he received, or if he should just go on with his regular life. And Mary Jane says, go get him, Tiger. And he goes and takes this orb. It like opens up, and there's like a serum, a spider. It's a little complicated in just like a few panels, but it's like he's basically going to use that in order to give him the powers of Spider-Man. So now you have a Spider-Man that's an adult, married and has 2 kids. And then also, too, Jonathan Hickman's a very detailed writer. So it's very possible that there is more to Peter's dilemma than just being Spider-Man. But we don't know that yet. We don't know. That there might be something else going on with Peter. I thought it was great. I'm very interested to see what they do with other Ultimate books. The idea that Tony Stark basically made it look like he caused some calamity, but he was actually fighting the Maker's people, and now he's like hidden away 6 months into the future and contacting everybody. It's very interesting. It's really cool. So I highly recommend, if you're a Spider-Man fan and definitely want some different elements to the Spider-Man comic book and the mythos, pick up Ultimate Spider-Man #1. It's got like 4 or 5 different covers. This is just one of the variants that I thought looked really cool. I'm trying to think if there's anything else really neat. Oh my god, yes. The new owner of the Daily Bugle, and basically gives an ultimatum that J. Jonah Jameson will not accept, and he walks out, followed shortly thereafter by Ben Parker, is Kingpin. Wilson Fisk is basically, I believe, the head of the board at the Daily Bugle, and he wants things to change there. And it's very quick, and there's not a ton of detail on it, but a new type of Green Goblin ends up attacking Kingpin and an associate he was with that had an eye patch, like with a bomb, and blows up their car. So that happened too. A lot happens in the book. It's very great. It's very great. Okay, everybody. I want to thank you for being very great and watching even any of this video. Thank you very much. I want to thank Doom Squad Gaming and Doomkiller HD again for letting me borrow your channel. Thank you. I would like to thank Jay Shockblast, Caboose, and Lejeune for doing excellent work on your previews for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And like I mentioned, those links will be in this video description, so you can definitely check them out. If you're not following them, you should totally sub to them here on YouTube. Let's see. If you like this, feel free to sub to Doom Squad Gaming too. I do this show every week, and yeah. If you like it and you're already subbed, tell someone else about it. I'm not someone that harps and preaches on like and subscribe and all that. I just like to say something at the very end of the video. Okay. If you want to see me, heaven only knows why, twitch.tv/Hoarder Gamer. Right now I'm doing a lot of Warframe. I'm very much enjoying that. We just found out today that the Diablo 4 Season 3 starts January 23rd. So I'll be doing that. And then as of early launch, I'll be doing some Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League as well. So Everybody, I hope you have a great week, and thank you very much. Bye-bye.